Hello, I'm George Gonzalez, and I'm obsessed with making games. And today we're going to talk about AI and where we're at with this series and how this can help you, especially as you're trying to get your enemy AIs and some of the decisions that you have to make. So here's the Seuss Game Dev. These are his tutorials that I highly recommend. What we're going to go over today is part 3, 4, and 5, and what I did differently to prepare for the multiplayer part, and some of the things I did to adjust. So I would really suggest you watch these, follow these tutorials like step by step. There's a lot of learning that goes on with these videos. Let me show you where we're at with my game and how to set it up and what I did differently to kind of to adjust it to my game, because I have physical based attacks. I'm not doing formations. I'm not doing shooting, at least for right now. So I want to do melee combat. So here's the Navmesh agent, and we have in here, let me get, and the whole purpose of this is to help you prepare for the multiplayer aspect and specifically tasks and how we adjusted that and my goals. Because sometimes you'll have, when you are a developer, you have to make decisions of how far to go, because you can spend hours and hours, especially on AI. So we have this spawn mechanic that I'm just testing, and it's networked and everything. They have health bar, they have mana, they have levels. Right now they're just level 1 because this is like a training area. And I implemented the same mechanics with these other spawn areas. Let me spawn some eyeballs. So this is the eyeball enemy. They also have the similar mechanics as these guys, but they don't chase. So they only have one task, which is just to shoot when they find someone within their region. And then if I go and I move my guy, you'll see that it'll chase me. So they're kind of just, and I could definitely improve their logic to have waypoints or locations where they travel to. So if I go like this, he'll chase me. There's some logic. Oh, because he can't go through there. So it's avoiding. Oh, and then he can't get there. Now they can get it because I was buried. And you'll see that let me move this up. There's still some issues that I need to resolve, which is so that they turn towards the player, right? If I'm far away, they'll come back. But if I and I got to test this in game, right? Because right now I'm just moving this guy and staying still. So I got to see how the fight would be in real. And they'll probably kill me. See, they're doing damage. They're just doing very little. And I got to check to see. So they're doing 1 damage each turn. So probably have to increase that so it's more damage. And you could see the box colliders. Usually what I do is I do the box collider to see how good the timing is and see if it works. So that's what I have right now. Is still a work in progress. But what we are focusing on is the chasing. Again, the goal for today, going between chasing and wandering, right? Because if the moment I come out, they keep chasing me unless I'm out of the circle, right? And there's a problem when, see, so I got to get out of their scope, and then they can go back to wandering. That's the gist of it. And then these guys, I'll show you the eyeball. When I'm within range, they'll start shooting at me. If I see, so they shoot at me right there. So they'll just shoot straight at it. And if I move, it'll rotate towards that. And so you can still dodge it. And then there's a time delay depending on what level they are. So these are like their behavior is dependent on what level they are. They'll be more aggressive or deal more damage, have more health or more mana. It depends. All those parameters are viable. And that's the main thing that I was trying to do with these. As we look at Axeman V2, I want to show you guys where we are at. Because in the videos, Seuss Game Dev, let's see, he has tasks. And in here, we're not going to look at the damage because we're not going to deal damage right now. The main thing is this guard AI controller that he has. And my recommendation is to watch the videos first to try to learn these things for yourself. Because I'm not going to go over what he's already taught. It's already out there for free, that information. My main topic is, okay, once you learn, what do you do? How do you take it farther? Because his goal is to make a full game, right? And those videos are heavily impacted and they go from beginning to end to making your own designer tree, your behavior tree from scratch. And that might be not like, it might be the ultimate choice, right? If you want to spend a lot of time, but sometimes you might not have time or you might have other things to worry about, right? AI in itself, it's a whole topic and you could spend weeks, months trying to gain that skill. And so it depends on what are your goals with the game and with AI. Are you trying to learn? Are you trying to just get something done so that you can have experience doing it? And then, or are you trying to make money? You can't like be learning how to finish, learning coding, and trying to make money from a game. You have to take you can't do it all at once. And I'll make another video on how to determine certain things like that. But in this scenario with AI, in my case, is like if I took the time to do my own designer trees or even learning the designer pro, how to use a designer based tree, I would spend like hours setting it up and having all these crazy trees and behaviors right now I just need movement and attack. Like I just need it to move and attack. That it's like very basic. I don't need it to think too much. I don't need multiple trees and behaviors. And so I was like, okay, I can't dive too deep because it's over scoping. And eventually I might do something more robust, but for now, like I need to get going with other tasks. And I've learned enough where I've learned a lot about like detection, how to prioritize and creating lists to those sensors, and how to give that to a task. And so that I can separate things into the task instead of having all the code in one place. So it helped me organize my code a lot better. And ideally, yes, we'd have the behavior trees, but I don't need that much behavior. Like these guys are not full NPCs that will interact in the world. They're just spawning enemies they need to attack in a certain pattern. And then maybe the boss will have different behaviors. But even that I can adjust with what I've learned so far. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to tell you is that you can take videos online and apply them to as far as you want. And it just depends on your goals. So my goal is to, like we said, we set out to, we need a chase and we need a wander. So we need to play, I need to be able to say, hey, if this guy's wandering, he's going to be wandering the whole time. If he's chasing, well, what happens when he's not chasing? Well, he just stops. So I could do that too. So in here, we have guard AI controller, which if you look in the videos, we have parameters for like chase parameters and wander parameters. They're just classes that we created within those tasks. And then these are just like the chase target and the wander. These are the components that we create. So these are the tasks. Okay, so we have task, and then we have a utility selector that determines what we do at certain times. Okay, and then we create the task and we set them. And so this utility selector, all it does is just it creates the task and it adds the task to it. And then we have in here, what we do is we select by utility. Again, it's just like, hey, which one's the most important task to do, and then we do that, and then that's it. Like, and then this is all like the base classes that we're gonna override or check. And this is not fully implemented. Okay, I didn't, because you can have like, okay, certain, this is like the start of the behavior trees where you start making the end node and you return success, failure, or running, and depending on what's going on is what you do, right? But I did not need this right now, and so I did not go through with this part of it. So I didn't complete it. But you can take it farther. The main thing is that I'm trying to, what is like the next step from just doing everything on your own with a bunch of like if statements? There's other things you can do. So we have this AI controller, and this AI controller has the NPC, the max speed, the destination. This again, I did not need all this because this is just in case you're swapping out the NPC for a different. So if because what he does is he switches from controlling different NPCs. So if you're going to jump and take control of another NPC at runtime, then you need to make sure that you unsubscribe from stuff and you set the new NPC. And so this is kind of like, hey, this is passing ownership and doing different things. This is something that we could do when we we can't do it when we change state authority because we have to do it a different way because you're changing who owns it and they don't have the previous information. But this is something to take into account. Okay, so when we set up the NPC, we create the task, we set the destination, the max speed, so that we subscribe to this event because we're going to be constantly updating it, right? The chase and thing are going to update the speed, the destination. So let me show you those tasks. So let me show you the first one because we have chase. Okay, so here we have the wander script. This is the task that you see him working on, which is a wandering and a waiting. And we've used this like multiple times, and through the videos, he's been updating it and changing it. But the logic's still the same, right? We go from wandering to waiting constantly. Okay, and he just turned it into a script, into a task. And we determine if we arrived, wander destination, and then the main thing that I've done, that I created my own chase target based on some things that we were doing. So we have this chasing, attacking, and adjusting. And the adjusting is basically the in between attacking and chasing, because I noticed that between attacks, like if it's attacking and it's within distance, it'll constantly like jitter and attack. And so I wanted kind of some breathing room that I can do to tweak to go between attacking and chasing. And I'm still tweaking and improving that. But the main part is that we have this get utility, right, that we override on every task. So if I go back and wonder, the get utility is always one. It's just one. That's the bet for me. That's the baseline. I could have made it two. It's just arbitrary. Get utility is whatever you want. This is like your point system for your task, and the utility task is going to change based on who has bigger priority, right? So we'll do get utility, and in this scenario, we have a sensor, right? We have, that's why if you did the videos before, you understand about this sensor class. Okay, and let me double check. Yeah, we have. So this NPC sensor has parameters. This is like exactly almost okay. The only thing different about this sensor is that I do an eye damageable. So the thing that I had to do because of the damage, dealing damage in my game, I had eye detect if something's damageable to detect it, right? Because I wanted to guarantee that whatever I'm tracking, I can damage. If I can't damage it, why do I need to track it? That was my logic. And so I have this, like, I'm going to work with a sensor offset if I want, like, because most of the times the player nav mesh is on the ground. And so in order to get the icon, like if I'm doing a target and I want to target specific places, I can do an offset. If I don't need the offset, I'm fine. Like if you have headshots, you could have an eye damageable component on the head and an eye damageable component on the body and stuff. So you can have different, and then you can tweak the offset too. But for the most part, you would just have a different object, and this would detect that, right? So you can target whatever you want, and you don't even have to if you don't want to. It's just nice for UI, right? If you have a target that, like, if you have something that, like in Batman, a boomerang and stuff, and you can't like aim like to auto adjust. Then we have is alive, team health, everything the same. I did not do max. I removed the max because that is determined by the level of the enemy. And so I do that somewhere else. So this is just kind of like a tweak on the health on ragdoll component from that video, from the video list. So I'm going to show you. So if you go here, there's an extra, if you go down right here, health and ragdolls. This is a good one if you're kind of trying to understand NPC health and ragdoll stuff. Specifically health. I use it for the health and kind of structuring the NPC. So it's a good video in itself, even if you watch this separate than the other one. Yeah, so that's what I did. It's kind of, I went through, browsed everything and kind of, okay, I like this, and I added it to my stuff. But the main aspect is that this is the same. Okay, so everything's the same. I just switched the damageable instead of NPC. So it's not detecting NPCs, it's detecting damageable component. And then that has the team that's on it. So if you can damage something, it'll have a team. And it's not the best way. Like, again, it's not clean code like his, because there's certain like things that I fudged just for the sake of time and just getting it done. Because after doing all those videos and adding all the scripts and trying to have both for the tutorials and whatnot, it was a nightmare to have a lot of scripts. And so I just said, okay, I need to focus on my game. And so I'm just going to make the scripts that I need for my game. And I stopped doing the tutorial specifics. But I just wanted to show you so you can understand where I veer off in these. And let me show you my chase target script. Okay, so we were looking at this. We get the utility, we have the sensor, and we have this visible count. If you did the video, if you watch the videos, you'll know where this is coming from. The sensor has a list, and it has, is it hostile or not? And then based on that entry, it sorts them out. So the first one is the closest enemy. And so I get index 0. So I say, is there more than 0? Like, is there at least 1? And then we do the last known position. So last known position is so that in case they are behind a wall, I'll still be able to know where they were, not necessarily where they are right now. And it also depends on how often you check this list when you're censoring. And there's still, again, there's a lot of complexity already built in that if I was me, I would just back off and not do some of these to make sure it works, right? With AI, my number one rule is make them OP by default. Make them so they like can never miss, they can never be wrong, and they always see you. So do the most OP version of the AI first. Make them as OP as they can be. They attack and they kill you instantly, and then you can dial back. Because a lot of times we add complexity early on, like these setups that eh, sometimes if you know what's coming and you know that you need it, and if you've done it before, it's okay because you already know how it behaves. But if you don't know what's going on, it can get messy really fast. And so for me, I think I went too far into the tutorial, just copy pasting or copying his code and understanding as, oh, that's cool, so I'll add that. I know what it does, but just because you know what it does doesn't mean that you understand it. And that's where I went wrong. If I were to like, if the again, this is my personal project, so I can do what I want. But if I was in a studio and I needed to get something done, or like, hey, you need to make sure this works 100%, then what I would do is I would just trim it back, not do last known position, always keep track of the transform. And I think I have that in the detection list, but keep track of the transform and always know where the player is and make sure that works first. And then slowly add mechanics like this last known position, the scan rate, and adjust and see what that does without changing anything else. And then once it's in the sweet spot where you're like, okay, this is working the way I want it, now you can add another layer of complexity and whatnot. Because it can get, now I'm in the where you saw where it's jittering, it's attacking. I have to keep track of like, okay, is this the animation? Is this the network behavior? Is this the sensor logic, or is it the chase logic? And you have to keep track of all these things because they all have different scan rates or how often they update for the sake of not updating constantly, right? So at first, just update it all the time, make it precise, and then slowly tweak to see what the parameters do. Also, like the distance, like when the enemy stops, like does the who determines that? And there's the nav mesh agent that determines that at the end of the day. But then you also have like where you're going to change states. And here we have the chase mechanic when we're updating. This is based on the task, right? It's not a mono behavior. So we can't do coroutines because this is constantly doing an update. And then we're going and adjusting the time and depending. So this, all it does is count down and then it changes to chasing. This one is always attacking until the timer runs down. So it gives you kind of like a cooldown for, okay, it takes X amount of times to attack. This is how long we're doing it. And it's not doing much other than, hey, we're resetting. And that is the gist of it. Networking these can be a big task, but in the next video, we'll go over on Monday how simple that can be and how you can adjust it to your system. And the whole point of this is to learn what you need to learn to meet your goals and then be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish. The last tip that I'll give you for AI is that there's a lot of tweaking. Even if you're to copy paste the best code in the world, right? If you Seuss Game Dev Academy, he has itch.io where you can download all the sample projects for free. So you have all the code. You could copy paste the whole thing and have exactly what he has. But even that on itself is not gonna get you what you want because you still need to do a lot of tweaking. So it all depends on your animations, what you're trying to accomplish, the timing. And so there's a lot, no matter what you do, even if you buy a package, right, there's a lot of tweaking that has to be done with the animations that you get in, these logics with how far, when does it stop, the speeds, where to set the walk speed, the run speed, how fast, the animator controller, all that stuff has to be tweaked, and it's all dependent on certain on your animations and other things that you're trying to do. And so there's a lot of, and then also the environment that they're in. Sometimes you'll find out, like in my scenario, if you have a lot of bumpy roads, now your enemy feels very jittery. And so maybe you set up specific places where the enemy can be at, or you change the type of enemies that spawn in the location for the sake of nav mesh traversal. Okay, so those are design decisions and it's very important, but you won't know until you start doing the work. And that's why I said, don't stress out about becoming the best AI developer or whatever right now, especially if your goal is to make a game. If your goal is to be hired as an AI developer, then great. But there's also other things that you got to understand that you might not know that are not part of coding. It's part of all these tweaks. It's the hard work. There's going in and making sure that things align, and it's something that AI can't do for you either. And so, if this is something you want to do, but you have to decide what do you want to do, and then depending on your goals is what you are going to set out to do and how much time it's going to take you. Hopefully this helped, and next week we'll see you and do the network solution.